All right, welcome everyone. Doing another Big Brain University. Not a lesson here. We're just going to have a discussion. It's been a pretty hot topic lately about the NSA collection of data. Is the National Security Agency spying on all the Americans, collecting all this data? We're going to talk about it. We're going to clear up the air. As always, we have former NSA biostatistics and algorithms expert Kev in the house here. So
present and accounted for.
He wrote up a very well written piece here. I'm gonna read it for everybody once we get to that point in the episode here. What I was surprised is how well written it was, but then I'll get to that detail. I just want to get right into it. It's so interesting. But
you gotta stay tuned. Listen to me. You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
you're gonna really love this one, and it's gonna come from a perspective versus perception. But we'll get into that. So
we're gonna talk about. We're gonna give you our election predictions. Run across some scenarios that we might see. Just to, we're gonna talk about it. The next thing, we're going to give you a synopsis of what we're going to do for the next NFL season. It's like 3 months away already.
It's 90
days.
Like
we can't even take it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Like
I have anxiety.
It's under double.
My teams have traded. I'm doomed. Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
We obviously, if you were with us the first 2 seasons or just a little bit of last season, you caught, the whole thing's fucking rigged. So it's like, why are we even watching it? Why are we even giving it any attention? We should concentrate on other things. The issue here is we'll get into it. So without further ado, Kev, if you want to hit him with a disclaimer.
Yeah, I got a good disclaimer, y'all. Just because somebody may be like, "Oh, you guys can't say it. That's top secret." Blah blah blah. I am here to provide information that could be useful in life, and obviously some world traveling. We've discussed that in the past. 76 countries in a certain amount of time frame. A lot of vacation, but. The disclaimer for this is I do not speak for the Department of Defense, nor do I speak for any government agency. I only speak for myself. Nothing I say on these podcasts, verbal and or written in comments, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the government. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only, aka educational, aka not gonna get top secret shit. I'm just a guy that happened to get intercepted in my early days into a matrix, and I'm still here. So ready to roll.
Fascinating how all that coincidentally comes together with a guy like me with my background. We'll get into that because my background's also relevant to the collection of data and information security, as anyone prior to this cast that's been around here probably knows about us. So, all right, I don't have the guitar here today to normally channel my nervous energy to speak with my hands, and so. I'm just going to ramble for a moment while we delay, jockey for position, everybody. I had a teacher who used to say that when he would hit the lights and play a video. He'd be like, all right, everybody, jockey for position. And we're like, what? And what he meant was everybody can get out of their chairs and move to a different spot. Jockey for the best position to see the video. We're all like, oh, wait, what? Okay. Anyway, all right.
All I ever heard was, folks, you're making too much racket. Everybody calm down. I used to have such a different attitude about the whole education system, and obviously we'll get into that as well. And so
you're making too much racket.
Woo!
All right. We now have an action camera. We bought the DJI Action 4, or Osmo Action 4 if you want to be technical about it. Looks like a little nifty device. Basically, so we're set up to start doing some video content. One of the first is probably going to be just some cats. Let's just provide some sanity to the whole situation. We'll put some cats in the mix. Let them do their processing. Let them work their magic on the viewers. we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I might make it a recurring type of theme with every video just to use some cat clips. But if I know myself as well as I think I do, I'm not going to spend much time doing any fucking editing. Every bit that we've done so far has been completely unedited. We haven't done anything besides hitting pause and unpause. So, all right, that's the interesting stuff. We're going to do some disc golf videos, ball golf videos. We've been talking about those for a while, so we're actually going to get to it. So, done for the announcements. Let's roll in the election prediction. Woo, 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 woo. Special sound effects, guitar intro. Okay, keyboard. Wait. What? We used to do the in the name of the Father.
Yeah. We used to pray. Right? We used to give a quiet prayer.
Yeah, I don't know who.
That was with the COVID days when everybody was praying. I said we gotta pray every time.
I don't know who we could pray to right now, but maybe it'll come up later. Election predictions. So what I've been one thing, just straight off the gate: Trump gets reelected, assassinated. World fucking spots into chaos. Civil war is triggered between the Democrats, and that's worst case scenario, everybody, all right? Okay, so now that you got that cooking in your brains, if I had to put some money on it, I actually think the Democrats are going to win another one. And the reason for that, obviously, the election's going to be rigged, but
again,
the way that like public opinion is being swayed right now, and I think the majority of people that would go vote are going to be swayed by this information that's being put out. These three things: the legalization of cannabis, Republicans talking against it. Not all of them, but most of them are like, well, we have medical, why do we got up? And they're pushing back on recreational all the fucking time. We've seen it in South Dakota here at a point where it was like everybody voted for it, it passed, and then the governor was like, we're not going to get into that. But that's what I see one of the first divisive things being. Because, I won't get into because. The second thing, as always, abortion. Nothing else really needs to be. That's always the same thing. It's always the same talking points. Always. Nothing's ever changed about it. Nothing. It's still the same thing. Republicans kind of against it. Democrats always going for it. Never any middle ground, right? Never any The third thing, this student loan thing. The student loan forgiveness. So in one hand, because I was listening to the radio, and if I was a voting person, I've never voted. If I was a voting person, I would have voted for Trump in the last election over Biden. No, unquestionably. This time, I don't know if I would vote for Trump again. Because if I put myself in a voter's shoes where it's like, okay, this system is fully legitimate and I'm going to go put out my vote because this is what would benefit me and what I want to see in the world, right? I would vote Democrat. Because that's the quickest way that cannabis is going to be legalized. Student loans are going to be forgiven. And women, we're not going to have a big fucking healthcare crisis where we have to go through this. Women are being attacked and their rights are being taken away. We don't have to go through that. So, and if Trump gets elected again, it's almost like I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. So I think what's going to happen, if I feel myself actually being like, I'm so annoyed by by the conservative side right now, what I would normally probably go with and support even. In like debates, I would even maybe favor that side a little bit because being conservative is just more of a life skill to me. So being liberal, I mean, when is that really a proper thing to do? Just not to get lost in like being liberal versus conservative or even the definitions of the word, but I'm just trying to relate to you guys. If I had to drop in the matrix, pretend everything's fucking real in the way that it's presented to us, and go vote, I would vote for forgiving the fucking student loans. For one, I'm tired of that shit. Not just because it would benefit me, but because it's a fucking sick ass practice, and the education system here has got to fucking go. It has to be replaced. We can't keep going on this path. It's not leading us anywhere good, which is what we've seen. It's everybody seeing it. Okay, I don't need to belabor on my point. In a nutshell, guys, that's my prediction. Before I hand it to you, Kev, while it's just on my mind, it's what I'm seeing the Republican side doing is they're just stalling. They're talking about the stupidest shit. Like, well, all I'm hearing is about Kristi Noem and a dog that they put down. And like, I don't even know if the stories actually happened. She wrote about it in a book, so they obviously wanted it there for political use in the future, because then they obviously would know that that's a point of talk that they could use against her if she was ever trying to run for VP. So it's like, just now that it's there, it's like, why are we even hearing about it? Why is the conversation why is it always child braining me? Like, we can't get past having to put like a rabid dog down that was killing other animals on the farm. This is not even a question of morale of what you do in this situation. Anybody who's been in that situation from experience can tell you what needs to be done. What the problem is we have a whole fucking counter operative going on that's like just trying to douse us with misinformation and child brain the shit out of us to where we're so dumbed down emotionally. When we see stories about this dog and little puppies and pictures of puppies thrown at us, we're so distracted. Like, you can go on Facebook and just see the discourse. It's like, and by discourse, I mean the comments. You can see that some comments are just like fueling that fire. There's no real like interaction back and forth or understanding. Just always this two-party, but one party system, this unitary system where it's like, come on. When I was a kid, if you guys haven't figured, basically all I'm trying to say is that if you guys haven't figured out that the Republican versus Democrat thing and their whole fighting each other the whole time is literally a fucking psyop just to perpetuate a narrative that they want to perpetuate instead of what is actually a good for the collective, a good for America type of thing, then we have some problems that we need to fix. And I won't get into all of those right now. But with that, I'm going to hand it to you, Kev. That's all I want to say at the moment about the election.
Yeah, it's on its way. Everybody's in panic mode. Oh, man. After traveling the world, 6 continents lived on. Can't confirm or deny Antarctica.
He's seen the political systems there.
I have seen the global spectrum political scale. Now, keep in mind, we're just going to use the year Y2K 2000 to 2015. So 15 years, we'll say, right? I saw elections come and go in the States. I didn't realize until coming to America. But even though every time I came back to America, whether it was from Japan or Europe or wherever, every time I stepped foot onto America, I said, it's so good to be an American. It's so good to live in this country. I've seen the shithole of the fucking world and the people and the shit. And what it got me is when I came back, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't pay attention to the politics. I only cared about what's going on over in Europe and all those diplomatic type stuff and embassies and all that other. I only got into politics. I heard from their perspective, but I'll tell you right now, European socialism, Bernie Sanders has been yelling about that, and people are like, no, don't pay the student loans off. Motherfuckers, everybody now wants these 3 things gone. And I can't remember what the third one was, but the first 2 are student loans, medical. You fucking eliminate that, people got an extra $1,000 a month, fucking across the board.
Yeah.
But let's tax 38% across the board. In Europe, I don't know if you've talked to your Deutschland friend.
I have.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Hey, she said she is relative. Well, yeah, she's relatively close to where you told me she's from.
Yeah, cool. I'm telling you, I wrote down
that you had lived. No,
I said if I'm gonna go back and out of the United States, I'm going to go to Europe. So I'm like, how cool would that be in like a year? Like we just go to Europe for fucking 6 days, and or we do one of those. Hey, we're gonna go because in Europe you got Germany, and then surrounding Germany. Remember, Germany's 38 million people. And it's so right, like where she's at, it's in a great location because you know how many countries connect around Germany? If you add it up, you got like France.
I just looked at it the other day, but I didn't look at a map that had all the countries around it. If I'm gonna guess, I want to say like 10 to 15.
There are 9 countries that surround
Okay.
Germany.
All right.
Now, so I got to see the world perspective over there, like how socialism works, and it works over there. It's just we have such a divided United States. That's when I came back. I'm like, this is such a divided country.
Yeah, it is.
Y'all are like,
I see it.
About the fucking craziest, dumbest things.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't volunteer. I wouldn't have traveled all overseas just to go out and visit the fucking world. This is coming from like I got to see some pretty elaborate things, but to see the country so divided, and now everybody's on board. Yeah, get rid of student loans, but fucking 8 years ago it was such a bad idea. Okay, but here's the answer. First of all, let's figure this one out, and then I'll move on. This is how you stop the crisis. Because everybody's like, it's a crisis. And it is such a crisis. And it wasn't this way 4 years ago. Because look at the political way. Like you said last time. Well, of course. But then that wouldn't have happened. And then this. See how it would have eventually came to where college degrees are a scam. It's a fraud. It's just it's another part of the barnyard control. American dream is fucking fraud. Retiring at 65, who the fuck wants to travel? Man, no way. Now everything's going to be 35. I'm telling you, retiring at 40 is going to be the average standard in the next 20 years. You're going to see all this come along once we fix this problem. So for y'all asking, because I've ranted on this on the cast before, I've ranted about this student loan crisis. I have, and I broke it down into detail about what would I do to fucking get this problem solved. And here's what I said. You have to stop making the loans first. If I'm going to forget not all the loans, because then there would be no fucking borrowing. But I'm saying, if we're going to give 50% student loans forgiven, and then we have the other people that have to pay it, but they're like going to not be making $17 an hour, which I've heard fucking stories. This shit drives me nuts, bro. These are some educated people that are like, if they just shifted their focus, and if I fucking could tell them, they would be on a fucking plane and gone, and they would be like, that simple. It's not, because you're trapped. When you're trapped, you have no options. When you have no options, you just have beliefs. And when you have beliefs, you're like, I got to rely on those. But what comes down to the student loans in particular is, stop fucking making the loans. Because if you're going to forgive them, you can't allow them to be borrowed again. So if you're going to forgive 50%, and then 5 years later, I have nephews that are entering college, and they're like, hey, man, can you Bitcoin me my college tuition? I'm like, how much is it? Oh, 80 grand? The fuck you going to? The moon? Are you going Space Force? You don't need all that education, dummy.
Yeah,
you got on the wrong. See, when you're on the right side of the barnyard, you're just flocking along. But there's people that stand on the other side and they're looking in and they're like, man, y'all are a bunch of fucking. What are you all like? Where are we at now? That's the first thing. We'll stop them, stop making them, okay? If we're going to forgive them, we have to figure out a way. What is college? I'm going to tell you right now, I could go into any place that's offering whatever amount of money, right? The only problem is I don't have a resume, okay? I'll tell you how this interview would go. And remember, I don't have a resume. I do not have a resume.
It's classified.
World Traveler is what is on my tax. It was like, world traveling. Entrepreneur, influencer.
Well, you could probably use those on a tax return these days. Well,
You
I'm sorry. It's
you actually, you know what?
Or as
We'll get
in
into
an interview.
we'll get into that about how the IRS doesn't care about they don't care about. You could claim whatever you wanted to on your taxes. It doesn't matter. You could put trafficker. I mean, what are you trafficking? Fucking humans? No. I'm trafficking baseball cards. I mean, you'd have to come up. But now, okay, I have no experience. So I walk into a place that says, hey, do you have a college degree? And I'm like, no, but I have world experience and I've seen the world and I can put a perspective or perception in this whole operation. And I'm like, so he'd be like, tell me about yourself. I'm like, I'm reliable, dependable, accountable. I'll show up 15 minutes early, leave 20 minutes late. Actually, I see that you're offering $115,000 starting. I'm going to write a number down, and this would be at the very end. Like, they're like, we really love your passion. Can you start tomorrow? And I just kindly say, I don't have a resume, but I can prove. It's not what I can tell you. It's what I can prove. Truth versus facts are two different things. So here's how it would work.
Yeah.
I am going to write, and I'm going to get all like what they need. Oh, you need me to work 80 hours a week? Great. I'll do that for fucking a month. And I'll write a number down here, and I'm going to seal it away. And I don't want to be paid for fucking a month. Just put me out there. I'm going to fucking mingle in. I don't need to know anything. Now, I'm not talking about an actual where you need, like, I'm talking, you don't need fucking, you require a college degree, but just because you have one, a bachelor's still higher just because of that. Now, I would just show them for 30 straight days. I wouldn't take a day off. And then I would sit down in front of, and I would be serious as fucking all no shit. Like, I'm not fucking here to fuck around. I'm here to change things the way this shit works. I'll be running this show before you know it, and I'll be promoted to fucking human resources training. I'll be all over the United States teaching this shit. And it might send me into schools and teaching shit about the teaching. And it's already out there, though. There's people doing this. Mm-hmm. But are they applying if they need to? So that's what I would do. And then I would come back and I'd sit down. I'd be like, you got your, your view of this, and you have your number, I have my number, and we'll exchange. And then next thing you know, it's like fucking $200,000 fucking position. They're like, by the way, that's too low. We're going to put you in a position where we're going to fly you around.
Get you a Learjet.
And that could be as simple as that. Now, I'm not saying, but if I did that in 10 different places, I'm going to fucking get hired. I will. And that's all you need. So this college shit is like, we got to come to a paradigm shift where what is really valuable? What are we really teaching people? We're not teaching anything. We are being so fucking backwards. In Europe and Asia and all them, they're so different. Like, they focus on what they want to do, like trades and crafts. And they when I was in Germany, they said we're a socialist country, and these are German citizens, and his wife's been staying at home. More kids they have, more money they get paid by the government. And he's like, Germany's great. He said, if you're a American, they accept you because you're just bringing like a value to our country versus like you gotta go to Japan. I'm like, what am I gonna do in China? Like fucking get killed, get disappeared or something. Now, but they said, I said, would you ever move to America? And they said, they were trying to come up with something positive. Like, why would I love to? And they said they visited America, and they said, it's okay, food. And they just said, people are kind of rude. And I'm like, yeah, but you Germans have kind of a stale sarcasm. Like, you guys have the louder you yell, the more loving you are. It's strange, like the loud, like they just have a different way of dialecting their tones. But he was saying it's a scam for the taxes, education, and medical. Boom. Those are the three things. That's your three matrix right there. If we can fucking 35% across the board, and we won't do it for a fucking forever, we'll give it a trial for one full year, 4 years of the next election. And you're not going to get everybody to do 35% across the board. But I'm going to tell you right now, we'd have to paradigm that because we have so much fucking money. We're rich. We are the number one economical country in the world. So think about it. We, as we trade time for money, we get 400 times X what the entire world wrapped around would be. You could be working in a fucking in a factory in China, on Apple, fucking making, but you're in a communist country, socialism, you're medical. See, but they don't have the freedoms. So now you're gonna have to start taking away. You're gonna have to leverage this shit and come on balance. So that's my 3. Stop making the loans. The medical, that's a whole nother category because that's just another shithole. This whole thing is a fucking rigged system for 90% of people that keep falling into these little things. And I saw from the education standpoint when I went and tried, I had no thought college. I thought college was a scam when I was in fucking applying. I'm like, this is stupid. This money?
Yeah.
And what am I going to apply it for? I don't know. I'm going to get a general degree. And then I got intercepted for the military. And I'm like, he's like, you want, and I had college debt. He's like, we can pay that off and you'll have a GI Bill. And all you have to do is follow. He said, are you trainable? And I said, yeah. And he goes, are you accountable? I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, I got you covered. And he's like, here, I'm going to show you something that people ain't going to understand, but I'm going to tell. And he told me those words. He's like, because he asked, he goes, because he was like, what do you want to do with your degree? And he was being genuine. He was also using a technique that we call, you're trying to get something, gain influence to get something. All he wanted from me was to sign up for the military.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe just sign up and then get an interview later.
So he puts you in imagine this scenario.
He did. He goes, you want to travel the world. He goes, do you want to spend 60 grand on this fucking...
And you identify.
And he was talking in a way back, this is before the computers. This is the year Y2K. This is like 1998.
Oh, yeah.
So I get intercepted.
Yeah, like I remember what I was doing in 98.
That's the thing. I remember and he just told, he goes, why not just go on a free roll? He goes, travel the world. He goes, you might have to go to some locations you don't like. And then I said, what do I, and he's like, you just got to go follow the dog and pony show over there in Texas. And I said, well, they fly me there? He's like, yeah, we got you covered. Just real down to earth. Like, and he goes, man, just give it. He's like, you might even get out after 3 and get promoted or something. He's like, I like your charisma. He just was like giving me and I said, I'll sign up. I was just going through like a relationship breakup, and I'm like, fuck Arizona. In Arizona, I really enjoyed, man. I really want. My whole thing was I wanted to live in the forest and bang a chick in a tent and write about the philosophy of the Matrix. Of like, this is back when I was like really trying to put my shit. Where am I going to be in 4 years? So that's what intercepted me there, and that's where I got on the path to like, okay, so I did that, and then I was out of the 90 percentile at that point. So I'm like, if I can put myself in the 1%, because I was told when I was 17, 16, I was told by people, they're like, you want to be in the 1% club, and I'm like, what's that? He's like, millionaires. Time freedom. Right, I said, how do I do that? And the guy goes, entrepreneurship, real estate. And this was a guy that was trying to like push flipping houses. And I thought that was a scam kind of. He's like, no, man, he's like he was like, we'll put in a degree in like horticulture and landscaping, and then we can launder money that way. And I'm like, geez, this guy's talking about laundering money, and like he's got me. He wanted like a $3,000 like investment thing. So I went with the government way, dog and pony show, and then signed up in general. Didn't know what I wanted to do. He's like, well, we're in a transition now. The war's over, and we can put you in a general job position. And he's like, you'll have to. You don't. He goes, you won't have to do any like jet mechanic stuff because then we'd have to send you to like an 8-month schooling. And I'm like, that's fine. So I was in like this 4-week like transition, and I like the legal system, court martials, and all the bad side of the government. So I went in to the government for all the good things that the government does. And I'm going to tell anybody out there that's working in the government sector, no matter what, a 3-letter soup agency or whatever it is, y'all are just doing something that a lot of people never comprehend and understand, no matter what it is. As long as you're in the 1% and you see a different lens from whether you're overseas, looking back into America, or you've been there, come back to America, and now you're trying to analyze it, it's a struggle. But I just said, hey, let me give this a shot. And it really paid off. I went in, law-abiding citizen, raised my right hand, and I got to go into the world of like, wow, this is a fucking pretty cool operation. Just the military structure itself. I thought the Navy would have been cool. I'm like, let's fucking go Navy. And the Navy recruiter wasn't that, like, that was my thing. I'm like, if I ever want to travel overseas, I want to go back in Singapore. This is back before I went to Singapore, bro. I said, I want to go to Japan, and I want to go to Singapore. And this was in college, and I was taking Japanese. That's the other thing. I got picked up because I had language.
Oh, okay.
So those two things intercepted. Government said, "Oh, he's got 6 months of Japanese proper." All right, and that's where the interception was so easy because when I signed, I had to do a secret clearance, which they just went to your like 9 closest associates when you were in high school, and just make sure you weren't a threat. Like, it was just a normal interview, and if anybody's had to take like an interview for somebody that's going for a job, that's all it was. So I had nothing, I was a good kid. I just wanted to travel the world. Yeah. And then, so then I said, yeah. And then, it was an interesting journey. And then when I was going to get out, that 9/11 hit, and everything was on pause for over like 1 to 2 years. Yeah. So that's where my transition into the other part of the interception. Hey, things come in 3 in life, bro. And I've been intercepted 3 times. And the first one was that at a coffee shop. And look at me, go get a free cup of coffee fucking X amount of years later. See how it all paradigmed into its own like realm?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Bam. So education system is a fraud. And that's my take on that.
How do you, so to wrap up the election prediction section here, who do you see? Are you taking a horse to win?
Hey, the Kentucky Derby's tomorrow. I love the horse name, so I got to. What am I going to choose for the election? Man, I went from Nikki Haley. This was 2 months ago. So I'm like a woman running a country. Germany did it for from 2000 to. 2001. I don't want to get it wrong. Miss Angela Merkel, great lady. I've met her, bro, when I was in Germany. Yeah, she president. There's a lot of politics. They travel the world in European, in that whole thing when they have like a big conference and stuff. Yeah, man, she's so like down to earth and speaks really good English. And
interesting.
But her, a woman running a country. Germany doesn't want anything else because Germany's been ran by an evil past, but that doesn't mean that their future is going to be great with another woman. But she's out, and they can stay there as long as they want. Unlike ours, it's every 4 years. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with shit, man. See, this is fucking. Let me flip a coin. Vikings or Packers, motherfucker. Super Bowl. Like, who's going to win? Which one is the? All right. Here's how how do I answer a question where I'm so 50-50? In 4 years from now, what am I going to be talking about?
This isn't quite like a football game where we can, hey, who's the public fading right
now?
now?
Yeah, and we got our theories that you'll get into as far as what would really happen. Like, oh shit, this is going to really go down. I'm going to go with Biden. I think Trump is. There's too much, bro. The protests and the universities, another hoax thing. That whole thing parallel with this education shit. This thing, I told you in the cast before. This would have been anywhere from who knows. I said there is a bubble surrounding. And this was in the previous cast. I put these things in together, and I said this is a bubble, and when it explodes, it's going to be fucking chaos. Now that doesn't necessarily mean the riots. But either the student loan is going to get out of control, or it's just going to be like, hey, fucking $1,000 a month, and you only make fucking $1,800. What the fuck kind of country do we live in? How jaded was that person? Who let that person do that? What kind of fucking 4.0 GPA advice did they get from? No, they got 0, motherfuckers, and that's why we have this crisis. I know people that work at coffee shops. Bro, they're so educated in the way they talk and the way their mannerism. I have the answer for them. I do, but they don't want to hear it. And that's the problem. Because when they hear it, they say, no, I can't ever do that. Like, man, what else are you going to do then?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to they always say, don't let the government take care of you. Bro, I've been around some pretty elite people in the government sector. I'm going to tell you, the government takes care of the people that will take care of them, that will stand up and say, motherfucker, I'll go, you tell me what I need to do, I'll check the boxes, and I'm ready to roll. But the perception is, oh, fuck it, it's all a scam, and it's all like, phew, fuck, man. Just going overseas as a tourist to try to not get kidnapped or killed. But you're over there, fucking, whether you're Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force, anything that's, in charge of the whole America type. Mm-hmm. Now you have like, holy shit, that's that's really cool once you get through it. There's a lot of bad things that'll go wrong, but I said if I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to let this matrix of this government, which everybody's so opposed to, let me go see what the 1% is all about. And bam. And that's what that guy told me. He goes, and he didn't even mention government. He just said, try to get the 1% of being like a criminal. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we can launder money through flipping houses. And I said, nah, good, sir. And then I went to do the old barnyard show over there at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. Pick them up, put them down. I'll never forget that. 20 minutes of that, I said, what the fuck is this going to have to do with anything? They're like, it's called teamwork. And I said, okay, teamwork. Well, there's a lot of people that aren't team players. Well, we'll get to that about week 5, motherfuckers. And that's what happened. It was like everybody came together, all races. There's so many Spanish speaking and like nobody could speak like it was just an interesting. So yeah, I'm happy I did it. But that's the answer for the education.
Or for the election, yeah.
Right. Election. I'm going to go with, like I said, Sanders.
Yeah.
Or not, sorry, Bernie Sanders. I would. Trust me, Bernie Sanders is running again, but everybody hated him 4 years ago. But now everybody's flipped their side. You got the liberals. You got everybody that's flipping. Now they all sound geniuses. See how this shit works, bro? It's so fucking divided that overseas, it's not like that. It's another parallel. But fuck you guys. That's why I have to try to put in perspective from the 99%. Why are they fucking thinking that way? Well, you have people, you're thinking a different way. Your compass is, if your compass is off in a forest and you're supposed to go straight and you're off 2 degrees, you're fucking 25 miles fucking left going east or west. Good luck. But people are blindsided by all this shit.
Their orientation is taken over.
The orientation is way past time in the Renaissance of putting fucking shit together and living the lives of what we're supposed to in this greatest country in the world. There's no other place I'd want to live unless, whatever, I'd go to Europe.
Another reason why I think it's going to be Biden is because just what you said there, Trump is so divisive now. Like, people are like starting to just, like I said, it's just fucking, I don't even want to see the reaction. I don't need the fucking revenge, like, oh yeah, Trump got in this time because he was robbed last time. Why doesn't the Republican Party just cut their fucking losses with the guy and go with somebody who's not so divisive, who can still... You're telling me that there's no other compelling speakers in the world? You and I can get up in front of a fucking crowd full of 30,000 people and give a compelling fucking speech for hours. Fucking both of us can do that. We can get up for hours. You won't get us off the mic. We'll talk for hours. We'll fucking filibuster. We'd be the best filibusters ever. You won't shut me up. I can fucking talk for days. I don't want to get too far off. That's just...
And the other last...
That's my thoughts on the fucking election. Like, I don't see them going back to Trump. It's too much goddamn energy. They're just going to push it another 4 years. They'll keep on the narrative, and we'll see what happens after that.
But then we're going to start to become a socialist country, and people are going to be terrified of that word. They're like, no, we're not, no, we're not. I'm like, yes, we the fuck are, because this is what's worked around the world. And this has worked in countries where there's 38 million people. Okay, Germany, that's easy to control. You could do a state in socialism, but we can't. But the thing is, Canada, perfect. Everybody, it's telling you, you can go for medical, you can go to Mexico, you can go to the Philippines. I had in Cambodia. I went, you know, it wasn't anything elaborate. The doctor said he had a degree. And I'm like, where's your fucking thing on the wall? He's like, oh no. And like, see how that works? I don't know, maybe, but hey, the medical care was very cheap, very good. If you look at the past, you know, Trump and Hillary Clinton. When I was actually I was out of the Matrix at that time, and I'm like, thank God, one of these leaders, I'd have to, you know, take orders. And I'm like, Hillary Clinton, fuck that.
Jeez.
And then if I was in, I wouldn't be like Obama. There was nothing about elections. There was what do you call the distance voter? Like you could like absentee voting. I ran an absentee voting when Obama. Like I was one of the guys that all the elite guys. I would be the absentee voter, and I would drop when we get back to the States. I drop off everybody's form. Yeah. Because we get back and you could drop, and then that's how we didn't talk politics, motherfuckers. We were there to do a job. Sure. Didn't give a fuck what was going on in America. Yeah, it was a whole another level of thinking. I always never paid attention to any of it. I fucking a lot of years of just focus and then come back to this shit and try to live a normal life. Fuck the normal life, man. I'm ready to roll. I'm fucking high up temp and I want to get shit done. But the presidents in the past, Clinton, Bush, 9/11, we don't have anything right now. The war, the problem with this one is when I enlisted into the Matrix, the first Matrix, the 1% of the 99%, but then I was 1% of the 1% of the 99%. And I just look at that, war just ended, and I'm like, the guy's like, yeah, you should have 4 years of not having to worry about getting shot at. And I'm like, fuck, I'll take my chances. And nothing happened. 4 years. Went to Iraq. Helped close it down. Got to see the sand. And this was the first part of the Matrix. And I was just having a good time. And then 9/11 hit, and I was fucking stop loss. And I said, holy shit, the buildings came down. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So I didn't give a fuck about who the president was. I wanted to get our fucking country back together and let's go. That took fucking 10 years plus. So now we went from pulling out of Afghan, which is a complete disaster. Anybody you talk to that will agree with that. Military, ex-military, people's perception versus perspective is yes, it was fucked up. Oh, but only 18 people died. Yes, only 18 people died, but the whole damn thing was a failed by the intelligence community. And I fucking that was all part of communication. And it wasn't just the intelligence company, it was the communications of, hey, they wanted to get a job done in 12 hours that would have took fucking 2 weeks. Right. Leave all that shit behind. Yeah. So at that time, I didn't give a fuck who the president. Now I'm like, at that point, if I'm in that, I don't give a fuck who the president is. Right. So you have to look at it from a lens of what is going to be best for you as the U.S. consumer, from your buyer or your leader. Right. And is it really going to change? We could do things. Get rid of student loans or keep medical crazy. Get rid of the medical, cut student loans in half. We'll get rid of half the trillion or whatever it is now. That bitch better not be going up. Can you imagine people getting student loans after graduation at fucking Wells Fargo? Why would that bank loaner be like, kid, they have to have known they've signed that kid is going to be fucking set for failure and they can't say shit. That's the fucking scam that I am talking about, that people now come to fruition to know that when I was younger, I was so against like the conventional way of like, just, I don't know, there was something, and that's what they all say when you get into a matrix, you get intercepted by something that was checkboxed. And so this president, man, now that I'm out of the matrix, I'm really gonna just have to say, I see fire and fucking craze going on when Trump's reelected for some reason. Yeah, so there's the war also, like I said, when they pulled out of Afghanistan, they went right into this whole Ukraine and all that nonsense, which is chaos. So if I was still in, The Matrix, guess where motherfucking me would be? Hello.
Plus,
Hello.
He's like on trial right now.
Yeah, you got all these shit going on.
Sure,
None of
it's
the
all
past,
a show, but
none
it's
of the
like-
past presidents, except Clinton, he was the only had the sexual shit. But this Trump guy, how many fucking felonies
How
could
many
he be?
times is
And then
he
how many
impeached and
times?
this and that?
And then if you want
How
to
do you
look
get
at it,
impeached and not be able to run for president? It's like the whole thing is like,
It's like
fucking just so weird.
it's just such
It's
a
so
weird.
weird now.
It is, and I didn't notice it so much until COVID. If COVID never would have happened, I would have had a different lens view on the United States of America. I love the United States of America. I want it protected, but I don't want it divided where people are just going to commit civil war in their own fashion or some
divided
form.
by stupid
Like
political,
I'm not. We got to worry
just-
about terrorists coming into our country. I got to worry about our own country, not sabotaging and
Itself.
going chaos. Now you got these kids with the riots. What do you think gonna happen when Trump did that? What happens when he's not elected? Does he get? Are these all just ploys that they're just gonna create this big fucking mess? And hey, government. Remember when I said you should move some of these places into like Nebraska or the Midwest? Yeah, they're overtaken by the entire. They're like Taylor Swift's fans of Trump's. So imagine the movement. How many teenagers she got on her fucking
on her payroll,
just on her followers. But now you add the angry Trumps together. I don't know, man. I'd be curious what Jake what he would think if I had asked that question. Would he have an actual answer? Because I'm just like I'm going with the lesser of two evils, obviously, and the easier one. The one that makes more sense versus Trump and there's all this. God, how many felonies?
Yeah, dude.
Like the normal person would have how many life prisons? Now, you know what? Trump gets a pass. Politicians get a pass. You know why? Because if you have a felony, you can't go to Germany. If you have a felony, you can't go to Singapore. If you have a felony on your record, there's 18 or 19 countries where I had people that had a felony from something and they were on vacation. Their visa got denied in Cambodia or something because they were had a felony record on their. But they got their way and just told them they had to pay a fine, but it was fucking scam, obviously.
if they've ever or in the last
felony.
7
It's
years.
Some countries forever.
Oh.
Like some countries, like Canada, you can't drive into Canada if you ever.
If you had a DUI, yeah.
Same thing in
Right.
countries. You can't get on a plane and fly. Now, they don't ask you these type of things until you get to customs. Like, oh, how active is your felony? Like, what was your felony for? Oh, it was a fucking car arrest when I was a car breaking when I was 17. Like, there's shit where they'll fucking deny you. I've seen it done. We're going to other countries that they just decided, hey, we're gonna change to go from Germany and we're gonna go to Switzerland or something. Then we get to Switzerland, they're like, yep, you got a felony. So I didn't, but anyway. But if your record's wiped, meaning your John Doe is now
just cleaned out.
But it's a different thing. But if you're a tourist, I always tell people, you think you're just going to travel the world and bro, high threat levels don't happen until threat rises. And only way threat rises is when fucking chaos happens. And when chaos happens is when people least suspect it. And if they're not ready to go on a trip overseas, man, even in countries, there's certain just restrictions. And I'm just like, America's such a great place, bro. I'm so happy to not have to be like this whole chaos. Y'all worrying about who's gonna fucking do what? Well, I'd be over fucking in wherever and making things happen, and being like, yes. Whether or not happens, I'd let you all just fucking argue for the next fucking years, and I'll come back and I'll be like, okay, maybe I should have did that, man. I would have came back to this country in 15 years later, and it would have all been okay because we're now all of a sudden coming to agreement that, hey, what doesn't make sense has always made sense. You just have to look at it from a different view, you fucking greedy motherfuckers. Like, let's get this shit done.
Yeah, let's get it figured out. All right, we'll wrap that up on our election section today. Obviously, we can keep going, but it's all right.
No, that's enough.
So, next season, NFL season, approaching. We're going to try to do some stuff with the camera and shit, do some disc golf stuff, just add that stuff to the channel, bring some more people in, and the reason we're actually going to start to try to get more eyes on the channel now is because of this legalized gambling and the dangers that it's going to cause for women and young people in particular. So we're going to try to do our best not to stop it. We're not going to be able to stop it. And even if we are able to bring awareness to people that it is rigged and they agree with us, we still cannot stop them from gambling on it. What we can do is warn them, though, because we're going to see... We're already hurting enough as a society. We don't need any more monetary suffering to be brought about for anybody. So when it comes to trying to do things to leverage our time to better society, this is one thing that we're in position to do. So we're going to pull the trigger on that. Like I've sold some people, and people have been around this channel already, we haven't really gone and marketed this channel and, you know, tried to get the word out there and get as many subs and followers and this and that. I tried that for about a month and we got thousands of views. We got one video up to like 3,000, another up to 2,000 within that month.
Like and subscribe. Get to 100 likes, please.
All of a sudden, my
all the
account,
begging.
Oh yeah! All of a sudden, my account just boomed. I wasn't able to advertise the channel anymore, and I wasn't able to even comment on our own channel. Like, the channel was still there. I could still post videos and everything, but I couldn't respond to comments on it. I couldn't even remove comments. Not that I've ever removed comments, which is one of the things you'll never do, but just saying, guys, we haven't spent any time doing that besides that one little stint. So, yeah, that's kind of the reason for where we are with followers and stuff like that. Now, to shortly reiterate, we are going to try to actually bring some people in with the camera and, you know, sacrifice our somewhat anonymity so you can see our faces, and hopefully that will just provide a little better connection for people. You know, they tend to relate with content where they can see the people.
Yep.
Tends to trust them a little more.
Shills, shills. Those guys are shills. I don't
Yeah.
even understand what a shill is, obviously, but I think the only way you can have success is, this is the other thing that I was told younger. The only way to get success, no matter what, you win the lottery, whatever you do that's going to be positive or whatever it is you gotta have critics. If you don't have critics, there's something wrong, because nobody is going to agree with everything. When you have the critics, that's when it's like, okay, have that, fire away, blah, blah, blah. I just see that this whole casting world, COVID really was a derivative. There was something there, obviously, and it's exploded with a lot of the...
There was a shift, for sure.
The big shift. God, people are working from home and stay-at-home moms.
Really
I'm so happy for these
to,
entrepreneurs. I'm so happy for... But the other dark side is trying to rush too much at once can be overwhelming. Like Jake the Asshole, shout out to him, man. That guy, there's something, he got connection about, there's something. He's got it figured out. Whatever that it is, we don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to fucking parlay it into something and be like, okay, yeah. Or I'll be like, well, let's just see what else is going on. Now, anonymity, that word you had used, I don't know, a couple sentences ago. Fucking, that's a great word, man. Like, that's the kind of words that you associate with high level people that brains operate, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I could do a lot better with my vocabulary, but I've kind of
Yeah.
purposely kept myself on a speaking level where it's like, I'll just fire, curse, bombs,
Yeah.
dump. Farmer level
Yeah.
to, yes, I can speak to a very highly technical level on different things, but I found if you use a vocabulary people don't understand you don't lose your effectiveness.
Because they man, that's part of the education system.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done a whole class on just this whole, like, the fucking 2 pages of words and
Yeah.
been like, man, how cool. Like, I love putting those puzzles, the pieces together. I always got in those ACT tests, they like, which part of the sentence is wrong? And I'd be like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was good at,
I was
like,
really good at that,
very
too.
good. And that
Yeah.
was one of the tests that I had to take, forward
oh, wait, you're
progress
trying to
into
say this.
all these tests that were like,
Yeah.
like, and,
Yeah.
but I, like, certain things I couldn't remember something, but they're like, well, that's because and that they're like, we like people that think subjectively, objectively, but also
Sure.
whatever the word I'm looking for is. But
Yeah.
the gambling for the women, it's going to be really bad. And this whole DraftKings and all this advertised gambling, folks, gambling. I come in from before 9/11. There was no internet. If you wanted to bet on sports, you called a bookie. I knew bookies back in college. Like, that's just people.
I think everybody knew
it.
one.
It was like considered corrupt, like mob boss, like, you don't pay me, we're gonna kill you, like
Yeah,
like everything
yeah.
you saw in the movies. But all that
Right.
was true when you saw the old gangster movies. Those were all written on, like, events that had happened, maybe magnified into some sense, but of course, Las
Sure.
Vegas. But then now you have such a accessibility, and women love betting action. They love parlays, and I'm telling y'all, gambling is for the rich to fucking gamble, waste money, and it's for the middle class now to enjoy the chance of their hopes and their commitment, and like you ever hear people say, well, our team fucked up again, my team blew it, there goes my quarterback, all the possessive my's, me, I's, ours, we, us, anyway, those
Yeah.
7. You hear anybody talk like that, they are just like mad about because their parlay didn't hit, or their team sucks, or they're just the politics in the sports world. They go same fucking way. You can't get a 49ers fan to agree on anything. You can't get a Giants fan to agree with a Jets fan. See how that shit works? It's different parallel, but it's entertainment. It brings us together.
Right,
It distracts us for enough time to add fuel, but then we repeat it the following week, and you just fall into it.
Right.
And the gambling, the women, it's going to be bad. This is going to destroy lives. We have a big crisis already, but we're adding more with this gambling.
Yeah.
Folks, you're not going to win in this shit. There's just mathematically no way. I used to be able to. Now you can't. I can't crack their code because it's so manipulated by entertainment purposes only, just like their disclaimer, because they can legally do whatever the fuck they want. If I was in that matrix, people are like, well, the quarterback wouldn't do that, or these players aren't in on it. Motherfucker, here's how it works. You are 99.99999% out of that matrix. There's a very level matrix there that is in I would consider them a 3-letter agency, organization, protection, all the things you could make. And if there's any distractions that get leaked out of that organization, what do? You get rid of them. Or you find out, oh, they're doing this wrong. Okay, wise guy, you think you're so smart? We'll put you on a polygraph. We'll interrogate you. Next thing you know, you find out the guy's fucking has a gambling in it, and he's betting on sports for his brother or some shit. These professional athletes have got caught doing this. Now, whether that's some sort of like storyline, and they were getting suspended for beating their girlfriend, but we're gonna blame it on gambling, we don't know. But the point is, entertainment, y'all. There's just no way around it. I'm not gonna here to say I'm gonna hit 63%, and you have to hit 53% to make money sports betting because of the big. I did a statistics paper on that on college, how to break down sports betting using statistics of statistical way to make money gambling on sports by using patterns recognition, influence the news. Back then there was no internet, bro. I was in college before the internet. I sent my first email was in the government. I didn't have no computer labs at the fucking U of A.
Like just getting
we had to work and walk around and get it. I was so good at the sports at that time, and then the scandals came out with the ASU players fixing basketball games, and now it's legal. And oh man, it's changed, man. This whole thing is to get rid of the corruption, violence by the mobs, also, but also keep control of everybody. Now they know exactly what kind of your betting pattern is. They know exactly how to juice up the price of your bets. And they also know what kind of freebies to give you. Oh, $150, you get a free fucking a $5 bet, gets you a $150 bonus. Well, you run $1,000 through a sports betting company on a weekend. Fuck, dude, they're gonna offer you a $50. They're gonna offer you you buy in for another $1,000, we'll match you $1,000. Now you fucking got $2,000 in your account. Good luck, y'all.
That's a good point. And
they could manipulate the numbers.
People worried about data privacy. They don't give a fuck about what the casinos are using the data for. Like, they're using these casino machines to read your biometrics, and the fucking security systems to read your biometrics and test, like, hey, how many times do I gotta hit them with dopamine before how many times will they come back? Like, their pattern over a year. Like, they know, dude. I used to know a guy who, like, he would only go play at the casino and do max bets. He was like, I know which machines will pay out and which ones don't, and you always have to go max bet. So he would just always go play max bet. He would get a little bankroll, and then he'd go into the high roller room and see if he got lucky. And since he would repeat that fucking pattern, the casino knew that they could drip him in. And it was like, it was down to a level where I was with him one time and we went to the casino, and it was like he was in a position where he needed like a couple grand, dude. And he walked out of there with a couple grand, but it was like the computer knew what needed to happen. Like, that he was in a financial situation where it was like, and they had all the biometrics because he does everything on the phone, and everything's digital. So it's like, there's probably something going on there where it's like, the data security to migrate into that conversation and kind of to mesh them together a little bit.
I just want to say about Jake the asshole. He was saying on his cast. Shout out to him, man. I'm like, again, there's something there, and
there's some good truth.
There's something there is.
He's raising awareness.
So there is. It's his sense of humor, the way he presents himself. It's he either learned that, or he was taught certain things, or he was in something, and music. It's a talent, though. A lot of people have that. It was just it's a layer that once you get it, now it's like, okay, but people have that layer, like they can't get to. They want to get to the fourth layer, but they got to go through motherfucking 3. Yeah. Now everybody's a little bit different, but he was saying he has some sort of system where he can win playing slots, and he was saying that he was thinking about going to Vegas, and I'm like, man, how'd that be cool to go? But he's thinking about selling his secret to something, like if he wants to. I'm like, okay, what would he know that the normal person would know, and what would be the ploy? Now, if that was the ploy, there's a lot of ways to manipulate that. I'm just looking at a different. If he's so good at that, I'd be curious.
Yeah, that's very intriguing.
Is it some sort of pattern? Is it some sort of like he knows somebody that makes them? Does he got intel that? Right. There's a certain.
Is it a way that
and especially if you're going from, and they change shit all the time, bro. The same thing in Vegas in 1 week is not the same. Our little fucking casino. If you get out there and and if you win out there, you're on a list. They'll cut you off. Yeah. But I'd be curious, does he look at it from perspective where, hey, I know a way to make a lot of money, or it's like I can make $10 every.
It's kind of what I get, because otherwise, why wouldn't he just cash out?
Or does he have like a card reader where he puts in the Players Club card and he just loads up funds and he's got fucking credits? I knew somebody that ran that. Well, I knew somebody that was in that over in.
They might give you free points for playing a certain type of game.
Somebody
over. Really, if you're losing, you're kind of still winning. So maybe he's hedging.
So when we're talking about the gambling, he doesn't have a thing on sports. There's no fix. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that enough intel. He just has enough where most people don't have time to like look at it from a different view. But then
he's got a lens on where he's obviously caught onto the shape of the Earth thing, and once you catch onto that, you can pretty much the rest of the things fall like fucking dominoes because you can see the patterns.
Yeah, but the slot machine. I knew somebody that got caught up making like they had one of those like cat card readers. You ever heard cat card reader where you put your these were like players club cards. I'm not going to say the location, or I'm just going to tell you this is what happened.
Sure.
He had a program. He was a computer fucking number. Remember, this was around 2003, so the internet was kind of. But he was one of those that now he's a fucking high. Like he's a fucking elite, and I haven't heard from him in years. So I want to get that out of the way. It's not like I just talked to him. It's just like I haven't heard from him in years. And he always just said, "I'll see you on the other side if I ever decide to go back to that fucking dog and pony show." And I'm like, yeah, that's what he always said, but he's stuck. So, which is good. He needs to be there. I should follow him. But this guy was making like he had a guy that he had trained and he was making a fake like a player's card, and he would load up points, and then he would go and use it in the slots and cash out cash. So that's a big conspiracy, but if it's happened something like that, I'd be curious how you're going to bypass the security, because there's no privacy on anything. They got everything, algorithms. They see your picture. They know your every pattern.
So let's migrate into that, because I think we've covered about everything we wanted. Well, most everything we covered about the NFL season that's coming up. Not going to be doing picks, so anybody who wants that, we are going to be doing some analysis, and maybe we will figure out how to do the stuff live and just have Cam on too. I'm not sure about the logistics of that yet, but the only other thing I wanted to say on the NFL thing is
National Fixed League.
That we're going to also create like a Google spreadsheet and then make that shareable. And what we're going to record is, when the public gets faded, we're going to record the interesting prop bets of the night. We're gonna record some data. We're gonna document it, and then when the season's over, we're gonna go back and we're gonna see what patterns are there to see, and we'll do some data extraction for everyone. And that way, it's kind of keeping the season interesting enough to keep listening to. Because otherwise, dude, honestly, there's no point to tune into a sportscast on a rigged fucking football game.
I'm going to tell you right now.
And we can't tell you it's rigged all fucking game, every game. So.
But I'm going to tell you, money talks, and fucking puppets take the bait, and the bait fucking controls everything. So let's just all get that clear that, listen, it's entertainment. We're talking WWE type shit, just not everybody is the fucking, it's just a strange, cynical organization. But the biggest thing that we're going to have to focus on first is Taylor Swift going to reappear herself, because that really fucked everything up. So this last year was a big disaster dump fucking show.
Yeah.
Fucking dope show fucking featuring Taylor Swift. Woo!
We'll have to dig into that and make some.
And is she going to make an appearance in influential? The fucking election is week 5. And when she joined the NFL,
that's the thing.
When she would join the NFL, it was week 4. Motherfucker, like talking, this is all, I don't know what they're going to do with her. What can they do with her that they haven't already done? And is it, like, you got to look at what's going to be best for the NFL. I don't know, man.
We might figure it out again. We might call the whole season. We'll see.
The shambles will be there, and I'm not excited at all.
Hopefully now that we've got that
excited
out of the way,
at all.
We don't have to hear about it for the next fucking 3
I hope the season gets canceled like COVID. Bring a fucking virus back on.
Yeah.
Don't kill people, but just fucking block down everybody again.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, bro. That's how everything changed. And we'll get everybody just back.
Shit. Yeah.
We'll get everything back in order.
Yeah.
There will be so many fucking people out there that if we go through COVID again, fuck, man.
the NFL was listening to Big Brain, Buff Brain Sportscast and realized that it was rigging its games. They decided to take a year off so we can get the world back together.
Because I can't use algorithms, statistics, or patterns based off of. I used to be able to with the point spreads. Now there's too much money because they're controlling how much money's on each side.
Oh, yeah.
So they know what they need to do to tell the script.
Yeah,
they got 2 scripts or 3 or 4 fucking backup for. They have people in the background thinking shit up and the people backing them up thinking shit up and the people behind them fucking monitoring and making sure this shit's on fucking par.
Yeah, that's
You need a Super Bowl to be 27-20. Fucking done.
right.
Well, that's the Super Bowl. That was what the score of the Super Bowl was this last year. Landed on 47. Over under was 47.5. Get fucked, gambling unders.
All right. So that's that. All right. On to the next one. Y'all might have seen on BitChute and other places, their BitChute had a banner up at the top for a few days saying something, a disclaimer about the NSA is going to be spying on all of us and this and that. And now it's time. Let's shine a little light on the nature of the NSA collection of data. What's really going on? Is our privacy really being violated? Is it anything that you need to worry about if it is? I'm coming from a background where I have 4 degrees in computer-related fields. The cybersecurity degree was not so much computer-related as it was information security-related. The computer degrees I have were more technical, where those are the hands-on computer skills. The cybersecurity portion that I dealt with wasn't like writing code to stop hacks and stuff like that and writing computer code. It was more, how do I secure information? How do I know that it's legitimate? How do I find truth within this information? So that angle of information security is a very large part of what Kevin dealt with at the NSA, and he wrote up a piece here that's about 3 paragraphs long that I'm going to read to you. And when I read the first paragraph, just to kind of describe to y'all like the state of mind and everything like that, just right away I wrote down the first thing was, did Kev write this? Because I've never actually read anything that he's written before.
Perspective versus perception.
right. And it's I've never thought of Kev as unintelligent or everything, but I never just thought about like his ability of technical writing and the level of it, and it's very fucking high.
You gotta remember,
and
the government uses words that are beyond comprehension. It's fucking bananas. That's why I don't have a resume. I can't fucking. What am I gonna formulate shit?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Coming from the background that I'm coming with, just high level of intellect and education, stuff like that, when reading his writing, you can just tell that it's a highly intelligent person. You can tell that the NSA trains its agents very well, and that they
I can't confirm or deny any agent stuff, just to get that clarified.
Yeah, maybe that's not the best word, but assets. You could tell that the level of training is very high, and that the understanding of, like, I want to say the human psyche, but human behavior, also some thought process insight as well. All of those things just like flooded into my mind when I started reading this, simply because it was the way that I would describe something if I was writing it, trying to explain it this way. So it was very interesting. It also gave me feelings of nostalgia, where it's like Kevin must have something about his spirit and energy is very familiar to me, in that it reminds me of the guy that I went to Arizona with, and just I learned an immense amount of knowledge, wisdom, and just perspective. Just that was an insane time in my life where there was so much progress. and quickly, and so many like interesting things were popping off that for him to remind me of that person, it was worth mentioning. So I'm gonna read what he wrote here, and then we're gonna talk about it. And basically, to premise this before I read it, we want to reinforce the idea here that patriotism for country and bettering the collective is and having trust in this country's establishments like the NSA and the intelligence agencies. Like, you guys have to understand the perspective and perception thing. The perception that we're given is that these agencies are all infiltrated, they're all up to no good, like why aren't they doing their jobs? How can the fucking Congress be this way? Like, what's really going on? And one thing you need to understand is that the reality that we're dealing with the reality of the barnyard is a hell of a lot different than the reality that we're actually dealing with. Let's just say that very simple thing. But again, I just want to reiterate that the importance of having trust and patriotism in our country, because that's what we need to do. We need to make this place better, so we can help the collective and the rest of the world just be a better place for everybody. That's the point. And we understand there's going to be opposition to that. Some people don't want what's best for everybody. We get it, okay? But I'm willing to bet that there's more of us that want good than there are bad, and we're going to make hope. Yeah, okay. Just so people don't, I could probably talk about that ever, the divisiveness forever. We don't want to be divisive here. We want to be relatable, to people, and in attempt to leverage time to better society. Okay. Without further ado, now that I have said that a few times, I'm going to read what he wrote here. And this is in regard to the NSA collecting our data through phones, internet, whatever, and whether it's unethical or not. So here we go. NSA collection of data. The unethical nature of mass surveillance concerning American citizens is a theorem that I never get tired of conversing about. It's very rare that anyone ever concurs. There's a fine distinction here, and maybe we'll find some agreement. The truth is, the American experience up to 9/11 is not the American experience that is now. All of the parlor and all of this epilogue about privacy laws, and mass surveillance happened at an altogether different time. Now the next paragraph says, let's just take it paragraph by paragraph.
Yeah.
What this is saying is that before 9/11, it was a different world. We live in a digital surveillance system, or a digital environment now, based economy even now. Whereas prior to 9/11, it really wasn't that way. It was different, and those of us who remember 9/11, we can tell you that this is a different ball game. Okay, the parameters of the situation have changed. We can no longer rely on not using this data. This is my opinion here. We can no longer rely on not using our own data, collecting that data and looking for patterns within that data for people who want to do harm to this country, in this country and others around the world. Even things like using our resources to harm. There's a whole slew of reasoning that trumps any concern of privacy that you have. The data is being collected anyway, whether it's by the NSA or whether it's fucking Samsung,
AT&T,
or Apple, or Facebook, or TikTok.
Any app,
or they're just man in the middle in all of that data, and they can fucking process it. They don't even need to really, like when we're talking about and I can't sit here and prove a lot of that to you, and I can't go and say here's all the processes that the NSA and CIA has resources has at their to allocate that they can collect all this data. It's probably already processed with AI, categorized. Keywords might pop up and they know what to investigate. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here, not necessarily from the hip here, but just firing off ideas to provide context around just the idea of the NSA being able to collect all the data. It's all being collected anyway. Why wouldn't you want the NSA to be able to extrapolate patterns that could be harmful to us? Like to just be like so opposed to that idea, be like, nah, my data privacy. Your data's not fucking private anyway. Take it from, you don't have to take it from Kev, former NSA agent. You can take it from me, a person with 4 fucking college degrees who don't understand cybersecurity and the nature of security anyway. Most of you fucking don't have passwords that can hold them fuck. Just forget about it. All your data is fucking compromised. It does not matter. You can keep I don't need to get into yes, you can keep your kind of personal shit safe. Like your bank account's somewhat safe. If somebody really wanted to get in there, they could probably target you and probably get in there. But that isn't the type of shit that the NSA is trying to fucking collect your data for. And people aren't going to be able to extrapolate that data from the NSA's system to fucking use it against you to hack your bank account. So the whole perception, and just in this one paragraph, the entire perception, it's so easy what he says here that people usually, it's hard for them to ever concur and come to an agreement because the perception is so askew. Verse perspective again.
Yeah, fucking all day. That's the one step to get ahead in life. I said, what's the secret you can give me to get ahead in life? I said, the biggest secret that is not classified is
perception versus perspective.
That's it.
I love it. I see people in chat rooms using those words. It's something that people can relate to and understand, because it's like everybody understand. I shouldn't say everybody, but people can understand the concept of, well, here's how I perceive things because here's how I was taught. But once you learn something else, your perception of it, your perspective of it changes just a little bit. You have added perspective. Now you have a broad perspective of things. A fantastic example here, Kevin has traveled and been in 78 countries. I have been in the United States and Europe. Now, Kevin's obviously going to have more perspective on the rest of the world than I am. So that's a classic case of perspective versus perception, where I'm dealing with perception of the world and he has perspective. Okay.
I've seen more countries than states. I've seen more European countries than I have
anything
states.
to add to that before I go to the second paragraph?
No, the only thing is you got to look at it before 9/11. I always say Y2K was the computer. People really couldn't grasp the concept of. I didn't understand the whole email thing. But imagine if the technology for all that communication was back then. It would have been a whole different world of this. But the point is, the technology is there. 9/11, ultimately, it was an experience that is ultimately to where we are today.
Well, let's entertain for a moment that, because we could go with the conspiracy theory and just use that word there, but let's imagine that 9/11 was an inside job just so the NSA could set up a security apparatus and we could justify now we can justify collecting all this data. I think that's small brain theory right there. I think it's small brain theory, because you just don't need to do something like that to collect the data. The data collection was already occurring. One thing that the NSA does is they're the ones who who approve the encryption standards that are used. So my take was always, if the NSA is going to approve an encryption standard, it's not, they probably have a way to break it, and they probably have a way to ensure that it's not breakable by a certain percentage of, you know, the load. There's a threshold where they mitigate most of the threats. Not that the encryption standards were necessarily secure from the NSA, because my theory was, why would you improve an encryption standard that you can't have a backdoor into or something, right? So that was my one of the things I've always been a little bit suspicious of is if the NSA is the one who improves the standards, then they probably have a backdoor in, which means even your encrypted data has never, ever been safe. So, paragraph 2. The mass collection of statistical and algorithmic data manifested a systematic cataloging and identification of risks, warnings, and dangerous threats against American citizens. The public doesn't understand that the meaning of their privacy is significantly valued in the perception versus perspective lens view. National security rewards all of us. The fact that people think they have personal privacy is nonsensical. There is no privacy with the cell phone that is carried in a pocket. By authorizing those apps to constantly gain personal statistics and algorithms, profit-making corporations are less bound to ethical accountability when consent is granted by the public to authorize the collection of an enormous supply of individual data indefinitely. AT&T or Verizon may have some nefarious activity on an account, and they do nothing. Some might send a note to the FBI following a checklist that they are abided by and alerted to any suspicious activity. End of paragraph 2. So, before I even read that paragraph, some of what that paragraph, I have already said was some of what that paragraph was, and it wasn't because I read that paragraph and then and put it out there. I would have already said all that to you about the NSA and my idea of it before I read this paragraph. So having read the paragraph, you can see how my processing of information and how Kevin's processing of information, our logic, but is so similar, yet we had different training. We have different experience. So you can imagine, for me, this was fucking great to read, because it's like, fuck, the NSA, they trained that motherfucker pretty goddamn good.
I will tell you, the government is very good at they're very good.
Yeah.
They're very, very good. But on the contrary, there's a perception of they're very, very bad.
And it's not, Kev wasn't really even writing this for like an assignment or anything. He's just putting this down because it's useful, right? It's useful. All right. Anything to kind of add or mention on that paragraph before I read the last one? I don't remember what the last one says exactly, but I think it was more of kind of the second paragraph. So just finish it out.
Yeah, that's it speaks for itself. There's
sure, absolutely. Paragraph 3. When the NSA was collecting intelligence on metadata from around the United States, they were very specifically surveying for terrorist warnings and threats that had the intent to sabotage American lives. The NSA can clone my phone, and I will give them the passwords to every one of my accounts. If there's a probability that my family will be shielded from nefarious persons or groups with the determination to sabotage the United States, the NSA doesn't have interest or concern about an affair. The NSA doesn't care if you're deceitful on taxes. The NSA doesn't care if you express negativity about your boss or if you present animosity towards the U.S. president. Public citizenship doesn't care that our intelligence community is in place with the purpose and function of finding threats, warnings, and dangers imposed on the United States national security. End paragraph. It's perfectly put. It's concise and to the point, and illustrates the situation perfectly. There's no wiggle room here. Sure, we can try to wiggle. We can think about wiggling and what it might look at to wiggle, but there's no wiggling here. You can't. It's a one of the rubber meets the road type of scenarios where we can't further divide our public by parroting and perpetuating these campaigns of fear that the NSA is spying on Americans and your privacy is being compromised. What we need is to educate the end users on the nature of security. That's what I wrote my final paper on. After all my degrees and shit, I was like, okay, they're like, hey, okay, write a fucking 10-page, perfectly written paper about the most important thing in security, or the most important thing in an information system. Not just security, but just in an information system in general. And I was like, it's the fucking security training and awareness and training of your end user. Because the NSA can have the most insane fucking security software, this and that, but if Kev here spills all the fucking beans, then what do you got? Then all of their security doesn't mean shit. All their data security means fucking nothing. All their training, all that shit, it means nothing. If the end user security and the training awareness, if it was ineffective for him, if he didn't have it, and he just gave the secrets away, then what would be the point? Apply that same thing to a computer system or a computer network, where if the end user has a weak ass password, or they're trickable, they open an email that's a phishing email and they're like, what, I want $1 million? Click on that. Ha ha, bingo, I'm out of here, baby. And boom, it pops a virus, the company gets hit with ransomware. Or they fucking sell their password to somebody. It means let's use Starbucks for an example. Their corporate office, they probably have intellectual property, trade secrets that they, recipes that are documented, encrypted, and stored in a underwater, undisclosed location, right?
In Antarctica.
In Antarctica, absolutely. Above it, in the air, floating above it, underwater. How about that? Booyah.
Sandwich company
it's
to a
above
coffee company,
air, underwater.
to a coffee company, to reformulating.
Yeah,
they're going to turn.
Exactly. But one of the end users gets tricked by a phishing email, and now their fucking computer network is compromised.
They got the deadliest catch crews coming to film in the location up in international waters.
Now their airborne underwater city means fuck all, because do you guys understand what we're trying to say?
You come within a paradigm of X amount of feet of a place.
Yeah.
It's either going to it's very
you can build a fortress, man, but if you leave the fucking front door open,
just like leaving your. You gotta look at it from an angle. Do I really need all of these cameras at my house? Do I need all this security? Does the neighbor need all the security? Are we worried about security? Fucking goddamn right. But when you give that right for your security privacy, you're also giving up your privacy because everything's fucking recorded. So that's just a parallel from, like I said, this was based off of before 9/11 and after 9/11. So I can't paradigm it into like, oh yeah, like 3 years ago this is how it is, or 5 years ago, or 7, or 8, or X amount. I don't know, but I do know based off of it's security.
Yeah.
But privacy. Security and privacy. You got to look at it from both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to give up one to get the other. Would you rather have 10,000 people would you rather have 10,000, everybody have a camera covered everywhere, right? To catch one fucking bad guy that's on the run in the neighborhood and like kill 2 kids, and now they got the evidence, so now that's gonna like save trial and shit, but also you're giving up. So if you go commit a crime, you're going to be tracked all the way. So you got to look at it from what is best for us as American citizens and what is the result of the negativity of it. But
yeah, you guys need to understand that these
or would you rather have one camera on each block?
It's like, think of it this way, guys. These guys are obviously very well trained. These men and women that are in the intelligence agencies, they are very
fucking high elite, man. I've been well fucking high elite people level that are like General Petraeus is a name that is very known in the world.
College and pay for that.
I heard him speak at a fucking seminar, and I was like blown away, man. Yeah. I'm like, this is some high elite level General Petraeus. If you've never did any research on him, the guy is amazing. He's got a great story, and he, like I said, I saw him speak at a conference, and that was a great learning because he was somebody that thinks, the perception and perspective. He brought that up, and I'm like, man, that's just the way. It's all it is. Amazing guy.
That's a very good point. So yeah, I wanted to really kind of color some of those blank spaces in. Clear the air on whether we need to be concerned about this. Absolutely not. And just in big brain fashion, perception thing again here. If you are a person out there where you have this mentality of data collection, like your privacy's being somewhat compromised or something like that. If that's something that you're worried about, try to add this bit of information to your perspective. Consider consciousness, all of your thoughts, your feelings, every single thought. Like you do not have any single thought that's not recorded by, I'll just say, the universe, the collective. Like, there isn't the greatest of like unitary words here, but there is a collective consciousness. It seems to be a singular, multifaceted thing, and it's connected to a galactic community. If we consider right thought and right action, how am I supposed to even think and act in the world? If you understand that all of your thoughts are being recorded, like your entire existence is being fucking recorded. Every thought you have, we are all aware of it at one time. It's all being documented. Every thought that has ever been thunk still exists today. It's part of a collective. It's an energy. It's there, okay? The concept that I'm trying to portray here is when I was in Arizona at the monastery, and I'm like doing the serious soul searching and having these spiritual experiences. One of the absolute main keys to the basis of all of this understanding was that all of your thoughts are like recorded in real time. There's something there right now that is that will even interact with you. Like you can ask a question and you will get a response back in some way if you are open enough and you are practiced enough in like this idea of no self. Just a quick example is like if you were to say, I am a Christian. No. You have this incorrect. There is no you there to be a Christian. Okay? Practice selflessness first. And then, once you have understood what selflessness is, how this ego tries to attach to things and, ooh, I am this and I am that. No. You are an energy that exists in a vessel that's connected to everything else around you. And all of your energy that you put out and absorb, it's all recorded by the collective, and we all experience part of this, okay? So all of the experiences that I had, you guys also had them at the same fucking time. You just weren't there. But your subconscious, the collective, it was aware of it. It had the same experience. So this idea, and you can read my book and come to the points where like the instances with what I saw in the sky were so well timed with what I was thinking. It was like, oh, even the galactic community, there's something up there, we're not alone here, is tuned in to the same consciousness, this same frequency that we are always communicating on. So it's like this idea of your fucking digital data being private, where in reality, your thoughts aren't even private? You gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, we're dealing with such a bunch of people, and it's this... I'm trying to be a little more compassionate instead of lash out at the
I used to use sheep. I used to use the sheep.
Saying a sheep too,
listen,
man. I'm trying.
And I hear Jake, when I tune into his cast, shout out again, Jake, the asshole. If he changed his name to Jake, the big brain, what would you fucking do? Because he talked about changing his name, asshole. He's like, I'm going to change my name. I got to come up with something else. And now I'm like, what would you do if he really did that? And all of a sudden, you're like, okay, now we have a conspiracy here. Now, conspiracy is an idea, but no proof, no facts. Just like there's too much coincidence. That's how even in the collection world. I wanted to just back that off real quick. We'll find out. I had just to reiterate a few things on that, and then
yeah, I can rap on that for a long time. But go ahead.
I love
That's what I wanted to say.
So here's my takeaway from this whole entire paper. And I write a lot of different papers, meaning I'll just write a paragraph or a page, and it could be something that I hear on the news, like somebody starts talking about privacy issues. So I'm like, well, let me fucking write a paper, just a synopsis about, it's for all our benefits. Now, with that, there's the ethical and unethical side of all that. Now, ethical would be, don't give a fuck about your wife cheating on you or you cheating on your wife. Don't give a fuck about not paying your taxes. Don't care about if you hate your boss. Like those things that you're saying. Now, also with that.
Or you're planning a protest.
Yeah.
Should just... Go ahead.
Now, as far as electronical privacy, we have a lot of problems going on right now, and I've seen this when I was in a country. It's just a big place where there's a lot of scam artists and there's a lot of corruption, a lot of just shit going on. Really bad things, okay? really bad things. Now,
Talking about Vegas.
yeah, Las Vegas, that tunnel that goes up through Area 51, and the Area 51 shoots
Are
a
you
fucking
talking about the
like
train
slingshot
station in Germany
underneath
at night?
underneath the surface, and then it slingshots its ass to Ohio, and then it goes all the way over to Antarctica. It's one big fucking tunnel over there. And we don't know how big it is, but damn. Now,
We'll take it.
with all that is you have to have recognized collection of data. So instead of this paper being called NSA collection of data, what you can look at it from a different lens view. You could put personal collection of data, my personal collection of data. What is my data so worth if somebody were to hack into my system and tell me something about a Bitcoin thing, and I have a rapport with them, and we build a relation based off of just, I've never met the person. They just message me, and they're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm looking, oh, and then you start building and now you find out, hey, we got things in common. And then they're like, hey, you want to make some money in Bitcoin? So these are people that are, Americans are educated. We're very intelligent creatures. We are. It's just we're generous, gullible.
Naive.
I'm talking about the masses. Intelligent. I'm sorry. Gullible.
We're trusting.
Trusting.
We're a bit naive.
Naive. There was another word.
There was a couple more words you had.
But here's what you could replace. If you need to recognize threats, if somebody wants to pig butcher somebody, meaning they're going to run a Bitcoin scam through romance, and you're going through fake apps and all this other nonsense that's happening throughout the world, it's targeting Americans. And then you have the sextortion, all that other stuff that's going on. These are people that will hack into your shit, take over your control of your computer. Next thing you know, your money's gone. So what I want to emphasize is what you're going to want to do is recognize your own threats, warnings, and dangers imposed on your family, your name, your business, and that's where you start. Are you taking care of yourself, and not especially technology? Old people of certain age, man. When I first moved here, I lived in an atmosphere where all ages, right? All ages, just nice, fucking really nice Midwestern people. And keep in mind, I had lived, all over the world. So I'm like, man, Midwestern people, y'all are just like really farmy and all this. So it's like, it's so easy to manipulate and then, use unethical to sabotage, to get money, to corrupt, to whatever they want to do to use against you. That's where people have to be worried that, hey, this ain't like fucking doing all that shit. You gotta worry about your own system being. Now, you're not going to be hack proof. You're never going to be, but at least you can recognize, hey, this email is like something doesn't sound right. Hey, this Bitcoin,
hey, this television news story doesn't sound right.
So, or the stock, all this get rich quick and all that. But the pig butchering is the one that I want people to be very, very, very careful about. It's very serious. It's a big problem going on right now. And these are the things that I wish, hey man, I wish I was in wherever. I wish I was not here. I wish I was in the Matrix. I wish I was just fucking high level. So I have to come to reality that, hey, I gotta I'm feeling like there's no gravity. And I'm just like, hey, how, everybody, all this. And then I come back down. I'm like, man, it's like people. And ethical hacking. And the other thing is information security also comes with information superiority. And then you break it down. You got your public life, which is your people that see you, that how you dress. They know that if I show up and I don't have some color coordination, they're going to be like, that ain't fucking Kev. It's an imposter. That's somebody else.
Right.
Or that's your public life. That's what everybody knows. But your private life is the life that your girlfriend knows that your feet stink. If you take your shoes off, your private life is you go to get-togethers and you are vegetarian, but nobody else knows. But that's your wife knows, and she just, your private life. That's your like if you have kids, and the kids are like, that's your private life.
Right.
Now, those two go hand in hand for collection of data, collection of ethical, all this stuff.
Yep.
Also, there's the other side. There's that secret life. Public, private, secret. So
Right.
secret life is the life that only you know of, your deep, darkest, vigorous secrets that it would be in, see, real quick, the difference between interrogation in the United States and an interrogation overseas, it could be any country. We don't use physical threat when we're interrogating somebody in America. You go commit a crime and I sit you down and we're doing an interrogation and polygraph and all that. That's ethical motherfucking, like, hey, let me get information out of you. We need to know the truth, we're not here to play games. Oh, fucking, you get held up in an overseas, interrogations are a whole nother, level. So, that secret life is the life that I'm going to write a paper on this week.
Okay.
I just started doing a little mapping on it, and when I write it up, I'll present it, and
Sure.
it's going to be an interesting paradigm on just the way thinking. And I think with these papers, if I finally put them all together and I formulate, I'll have probably
collection.
30. I want to plan to have a total of 30, just different.
I was gonna.
And then I'm going to be like,
mention
all right, let's fucking add another 30. Boom, compartmentalize into a matrix ball, and then send it to somebody of elite, higher level motherfucking that's been through the trenches, that knows the history. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, motherfuckers got it figured out. We've been trying to get this out, to help people with their lives, and
Yeah.
but most people, I know 3 things come in 3. I know 3 high elite other individuals that have done elite things. I have them on really good connection. But they're all doing podcasting. Because these 3 elite people, I'm not going to say their names just because it's just...
Yeah, that's fine. Of course.
I would really want to put more information about them, because then people would be like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna start listening." But these 3 people all have the same type of shit, of just stuff, but they're putting it out in a positive, ethical way where people can use normal, everyday perception. You only learn that when you're taught it in some form, some fashion. It doesn't matter if it's a military. Teachers know perception because they have fucking how many 10,000 different personalities that they teach on your strict fucking platform. That's a failure and it's a fraud. And if I fucking had it my way, 16, get to fucking work. You got podcast shit going on, kids. Let's fucking ready to roll.
Yeah.
And not worry about student loans.
Yeah.
And you're retired by 35. And then we don't have Social Security problems.
Yeah.
That's the other thing
Why
that's
is
going
it
to happen.
making money a fucking collective thing? We should all be milking the shit out of this crypto market. We should have Jesus fuck.
Now, think about this.
What we
think
could
about
do
this.
versus what's
Here's
happening.
what's going to happen. This is going to be a 5-step-year plan. This will all resolve itself in some form.
Well, what I was going to mention to you.
But these
when
guys,
I
three.
read this, you should write a book.
Well, I'm putting one page at a time.
And maybe have it just a collection.
And I have these pictures that I have from around the world.
Because it's
I have to really take time with the pictures because it's one of those in that moment, bro. I have so many memories from like just every picture that I see, and I'm like, dude, and it makes, and I start writing like perspective versus perception, and what did this person think when I was in Australia and New Zealand? Did they think that, wow, it's cool, you get to travel the world? And I did travel the world, and World Traveler was such an amazing thing. And I would never do world traveling on my own to go podcasting. I would never want to put myself in a situation where I don't know what the fucking threat level is in fucking Burma. I'm in fucking Thailand, and you get mixed up in Cambodia. Oh, and the other big scam for overseas is this one. This is a fucking one that is it's so bad. Is these tourists from Europe, Australia, United States, Canada, those 4 parallels, they go in syndicates, or they could go as just a lone sex addict, meaning they have sexual deviance about. They just know that they can go to Cambodia, and if with the right amount of money, they can find what they want. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, that's probably there, and if you go see that stuff over, it's just normal. Human trafficking makes up an X amount of percent of the gross product in Southwest Asia. It's there. Human trafficking. We have Americans that are kidnapped and put in. I mean, we probably try to help them out, but can we go shut the operation down? Fuck no, it's another country. It's another country. Now, if you get caught up in a sextortion scam where the guy knows that all about you, he's did the intel, they're using their intel from their criminal. How much money can we swindle out of this information superiority that we have for this information information superiority and information security? Now they entrap him. Next thing you know, the person is thinks he didn't commit a crime, and they have it on video, and next thing you know, they say, hey, we need like, I don't know, $100,000 and we'll let you go. But if they're like, no, or they just arrest you and don't give a fuck about the money, lock you up in prison, or you didn't do anything and you're just happen to be at the wrong place, they'll fucking sextort you, trap you. So I always tell people that they always say if they're going to go to another country, and if they're young kids or something, or when I mean kids, under 30, there's other middle age. I've seen all types of demographics in those countries come through and through, and just like, man, what the fuck is going on over here in Southwest Asia? So the scummy part is, getting entrapped in a situation where they interrogate you, and especially if they want to get information from you, they'll fucking do whatever they can, bro. They'll kill you, whatever they want. So I just want to alert people, for world travels, you really gotta know where you're going.
Yeah, what you were talking about earlier, for people to, identify your risks. I'd always call that risk assessment.
Security.
One of the most basic things that was the thing that perception here again is, a lot of people think cybersecurity, information security is just computers, and it's like, no. It's a security methodology that is applicable to all things. So you can apply it just to your brain, to your physical presence, to your metaphysical presence, to your property, to your assets. It's really just a basic thing, like, that you are always doing. If I'm walking down the road, my subconscious is performing risk assessment at all times. Like, is there a bird that's going to dive bomb me? Like, it's part of our awareness too. So it's like, what the methodology that we're like, that's put on paper and documented, and then we can follow it as a process. It's like your body is you're naturally doing these things already. It's a mental process. It's already occurring on some level of thought and processing, information processing. So it's really, really healthy information to apply to like your everyday logic, and when you're simply just even weighing decisions about information, and you're being presented with all this information on the television and every social media app, and there's so many sources that are trying to mislead you, like this whole digital barnyard shit, like Kev said, like that's not the reality that we're really dealing with here. It's not really what's going on. It's just the shit that the sheep are so preoccupied with.
Oh, the
and it's
sheep!
like when they can control the sheep, it's
sheep.
like it affects the rest of us. And to really improve lives, like the sheep are being led to perpetuate our downfall, and until they can snap out of it, we are fucked, and we're not going to be able to fix this. So
I got a way that
that's the problem that we have a solution for. Go ahead.
the sheep out there. I wanted to replace that word because I don't want to disgrace actual sheep that way, because they're actually got it more figured out than we do.
Hey, sheep are a bold and noble animal.
Now
Extremely nutritious for us too.
On the flip side, I tell people this when they're like, "Hey man, how come you can't explain X, Y, Z, or how come you can only explain X but not Y and not Z? How can you not like all this X, Y, Z? That was always the X, Y, Z, and then you'd have 3 X's for the 3 layers underneath, and it's a
little bit of a method for your math.
It was they had it at the Institute of Defense Analysis, if that makes sense.
Sure, okay.
Analysis.
Yeah,
like defense,
well,
like
this is how defense in layers.
layers, like that type of.
Where what you're saying, if you're like XXX, like okay, there's multiple layers here.
But I kind of equate it to I grew up in a barnyard until I was 17, 18. And then a lot of the people this is how I try to put it, and I'm going to write a paper on this too. And it's going to be a fucking cartoon book. I can see the futuristic. I'm going to make, I got this vision. It's going to be some animation, or it's going to be something. And people are going to be like, holy shit, this guy's got an idea. I wrote it down. I fucking wrote it down. I'm like, if I fucking miss this one, this is going to be important. I grew up in a barnyard. I was surrounded by a bunch of fucking animals. Some were better than others. Some, like fucking Rudolph, couldn't participate in this because of the fucking whatever. Now, outcast. There's a few that were over on this side thinking, this ain't fucking right. There's something, I'm seeing it from a different lens, but I'm getting criticized and I'm getting ridiculed. And even when I say something that is right, they say that's not right. And it's like, well, I'll just shut my mouth and not give my advice. And who knows, I could have created the fucking cure for something, or some kid in the 3rd row behind me could have, like, so we were at a different level. We said, hey, there's a wide open fucking gate there. Let's go see what's on the other side over there. So we fucking slowly traveled over there and got intercepted. And they said, finally, boom, boom, real gin. And that's where that Matrix interception. I got intercepted 3 times in my life. So I tell people I lived in a barnyard. I didn't graduate from the barnyard of success. I didn't get the barnyard 4-year degree path. The barnyard is set up. It's layers of the barnyard. And I said, fuck that. I'm tired of people thinking for me. I'm going to think for myself in a logical way, ethical way. I actually was like, well, we could come up with some other ideas. But then I said I lived in the farmyard. I got reprogrammed in the farmyard. The farmyard is where the people go to find elite fucking, they want to be the fucking Kentucky Derby horses, motherfucker. Do you think the other ponies in the yard are, no, they're, see what I mean? I'm the fucking Kentucky Derby, motherfuckers, meaning I went into another whole level and I got trained, I got programmed, I got educated. I got educated in the way that if they could use certain things, perspective and perception, you teach that in fucking 10th grade. I mean, kids are going to be like, wow, I can see different things, instead of like...
Understand how to do that and train them to see multiple perspectives, like what other perspectives are here that I'm not considering.
Yeah, so the farmyard is an upgrade. That's the elite. That's where the 1%. I say the farmyard is the 1 percentile of all the animal kingdom. Those are the people that migrated together and said, hey, this is our opportunities. Here's what's available. And go fucking do it. Get it done.
You know, one thing that's interesting about your story, and that's that parallels with mine, is in my book I had a chapter titled Reassimilation. And what you describe about having to come out of the NSA and back into the barnyard, from the farmyard to the barnyard, and reassimilate.
I'm in the barnyard, but I'm outside the barnyard
Yeah,
looking in, and I have the
right.
freedom to go fucking roam around.
Right.
I can go roam the planet. I can't
Yeah.
go to Antarctica, motherfuckers. Let's figure it. I can't write a paper on that, but I would love to somebody to write some shit and like, hey,
Yeah.
here's our plan. We're gonna go fucking Elon Musk. We're gonna land that fucking SpaceX right down on Antarctica, and they ain't gonna know it's coming. Motherfucking, there's something going knock it down,
Yo.
bitch. They ain't getting there. So, but yeah, I had to come back, and I got mixed
Yeah.
into it, and,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, the difference in yours is when you said, I was in the barnyard, went to the school, got intercepted, exited the barnyard.
They were like,
For
get
me,
back in the bar.
because like you said your degree, didn't get the degrees and stuff. And I wanted to provide some contrast and parallelism. Is when I exited the barnyard, I went to basically like spiritual university. Like I took that path.
I went government university.
I had
both.
the path. What's interesting about that is I enlisted in the Navy. I fucking swore in.
So you had your path.
So I was on the same path that you took.
Travel the world,
But
save it.
A couple things happened, and it just life put me on a different path where it's like, no, you're gonna get this information first. So I went and like I found myself at like this point where I like completely transcended this society and the way it is, and like I understand like how a utopian society can exist, and like how we can actually get there here. It's possible, but like I took off, man. I like left all this shit so far behind, and I don't want to get too into details here. Yes, I did check myself to make sure I wasn't deluding myself, and that process was written about. But the interesting part of the reassimilation is like kind of what Kev is describing when he talks about his experience, is that I got to a point where I'm like, I'm so far beyond anything where these people are. They cannot relate to almost anything I have to say about the reality of what's going on here. And reassimilating back into society, where it was like, now I had to, because I went and I was like, I did the whole like, no, remove yourself, do the eightfold path, understand right thought and right action in a manner that is totally selfless, that you are always trying to benefit the whole and always maintaining a purity of selflessness as much as possible. And when you like really drift off into that, you can experience nirvana, but what happens is you are still tied to this place physically. So it's like you re-enter your body, and you're like, then you experience like, oh, like I have to eat, I have to take care of myself and provide security. So that involves doing risk assessment. So it's like you develop this.
You have to do a personal checklist on
exactly.
yourself.
You do this.
You have to wear this.
You
You could do it 5 times a day. You could do it 5 times a week. You gotta do something.
and it's also this process of like, once you've removed self, when you apply the security methodology to like your physical being, then you start to understand, like you get more perspective on what self really is. Whereas you do have like a self that can exist in a selfless state, where it's not just in a manner of like, I'm gonna do things for charity and stuff like that. It's like you are more like an ant then in a colony, where it's like you're like, okay, I have these abilities and skills that I have the ability to learn, and I can go get all these skills, and then I can bring it to the colony and be like, hey, ants, like all of this, like use these resources in this way, like Kev experienced. He went and got has all this training and knowledge and experience now, and it's like now we've both had to come back to the barnyard and I actually went the path of, I'll get your barnyard fucking degrees. Like, what do you want me to fucking do, you guys? I can do all your stupid little shit. What do you want me to do?
You get promoted
Like,
to be the warden.
yeah.
You're above people because you make $100,000 a year, and everybody else is a peasant.
And then you get
You're the one. See, you're the 1% in that 1%, and it's
Yeah.
not the one. It's the fucking. It's the corporation 1%. You get that? The corporate. That's the. But you. Yeah. So you.
Yeah, that's it. It's an interesting experience being in the vast minority.
Yeah.
But I just wanted. That's really kind of where I wanted to end this piece about it, was to bring people's attention to, like, both Kev and I have had to re-assimilate into this society in unique ways, but in such a similar way, where it's like, now that we've crossed paths and created this dynamic and this project, and to see where it goes, it's a convergence point of all of this skills and knowledge needing to be disseminated to the public, the end users, in a manner that they can digest it. And that's what has, because Kev would always ask me, kind of like, well, what's what's the future with this? What's what do you want to do? And I never really had an answer for him, because it was like, well, I don't know how to answer that, because I don't know what form and shape things might take. And then once those things take form and shape, what kind of environment are we gonna be fucking in at that time? So this is a living type of thing here, where it's like something in the world and universe and existence brought this together to be shared. And that was the only reason I wrote my book, was to share that whole experience. And I think even the reason that I had that experience was for the collective. It wasn't like for me. And that was the whole point of me, like, going there. I wasn't trying to, like, seek enlightenment, because the point of you existing and, like, I'm going to do this for myself enlightenment. Like, it's kind of a simple thing, but it's like, to really explain the difference of, like, our perception of doing selfless acts and stuff like that and being ethical is just, it's a little bit different from the actual state of, like, really truly, like, what even are you when in the absence of yourself, like an ego, what's left? Like, can you transcend that and come to a more third person state where, like, you can see society as a whole and see where you're just a part of a bigger organism, and then zoom in again and maintain the whole thing? So it's just a very interesting thing. It's this whole experience of life seems to be all about thought, and then everything kind of, I think thought seems to precede everything, even action, even some feelings and stuff like that. It's like thought precedes everything. It's like that's why I say all thought, like, always be aware of your thoughts, like they're being recorded, like you're taking a polygraph test, like all thought.
One of my favorite
all
subjects.
Thought is prayer. I really like
I
that.
I wrote a paper about polygraph
phrase.
too.
Like,
I got that
all
one.
thought is prayer. It's all being recorded by, like, higher powers, I guess you could say, and even just like, okay, I'm done rambling on that. You had something to say. Go ahead.
He was just talking about this next paper that I'm writing.
Yeah.
The first sentence is going to be feeling disengaged in relationships, business, or home life. And that's disengaged is coming from the matrix of the lens of the view from outside in, versus somebody that's in a stagnant and they just maybe move to another state and their life is different. And then it's not. It's just another way of layers of just more shit.
It's now, layers.
I want people to, you gotta, so tough, because I know the end, if people would just think differently. I wish I wish I the magic red and blue pill, man. You know, like fuck. Sorry, man. I got the blue pills, but the fucking red pills. You know, that's you want to go back in that level. That's how the Matrix was formed when they did the fucking Neo shit. Now, no different than CIA movies. They're not gonna put a fucking. They're not gonna put The Rock and Kevin Hart in Thailand to do Central Intelligence CIA operatives to collect information from fucking terrorists.
That would be the most obvious choice.
But no, you know what? The difference is, if one of those went over there and spoke perfect Thai, they love him. They're like, wow. And he could say, I learned in acting school, language school.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. You put you put somebody that's not recognizable in the middle of Bangkok, and they start speaking perfect fucking Thai. We're like, whoa. So you got to look at it from a different angle, like how the perception of like in America, people are in this culture. You just stagnantly go through it and you follow X, Y, Z. You check the boxes. Some check the boxes. I've already checked the boxes. Meaning, there's people that probably have 4 or 5 boxes left to check in their life. Meaning, oh my God, if I could only make an extra $200 or $1,000 a month, or if my kids graduate, they don't go to college. Oh, I ain't got to pay. College is free now. All these assumptions that help people put at ease. To rekindle the thoughts and have a shift in a paradigm pattern of perception versus perspective. I wrote a paper on perspective versus perception, and I wrote another paper on the polygraph, the autonomic nervous system. We'll read that one when I get that one reformulated. I got a couple things I got to add in, because now I think with artificial intelligence, a polygraph of the measurement tool it's going to be not 90% effective, like 100. You ain't lying your way out of nothing. Just like you said, the thoughts. Everything you think is stored. Your deepest secret, darkest secret life thoughts are the ones that you, for your personal. But now, when you're fed all this other high level information, and you see the world, and then you come back and you're like, holy shit. The grandiosity echelon of self-contentious awareness, it's a big deal. And those 3 casters I was talking about earlier, they're former elite people, and they have stories, and they're doing good things. Because they said this, should I stay or should I go, was like the concept back when I departed the Matrix part type of this map that we're all on. So I had a choice in like 2021. If I wanted to go back into the Matrix. It was X amount of years later, I got a final like, hey, but you're welcome back if you want. A lot of people can't handle it. They didn't want to let me go. It's like literally, if you are, thinking on the brink of a breakup, and it's your last hope. Like, hey, stay. I promise it'll be better. Now, I said with that mindset in 2021 that I could have wrote a check or blank. They could have sent me a check and be like, just how much do you want? And I'm like, where am I going? Fucking ask questions. And I'd be like, well, I got to know tax-free. Boom, boom. Tax-free money, man. I got tax-free money was a big, like, you spend 5 months in a tax-free zone, man. Nice. Endangerment pay. There was all this extra just to go into areas, just areas. 6 continents out there. Antarctica, I don't believe there's a lot of, I don't know what's going on up there. I want somebody to tell us, please. So I said, if I go back into the Matrix, I said, I'm giving up my time freedom, which is the true ultimatum in this lifetime. Time freedom. I will say that so many times, is that time freedom. When you have time, I'm not talking about a week vacation and stressed out when you get back. I'm talking about fucking time freedom. Like, the barnyard, you're the fucking the old school, like that, like what that cartoon or what, like the wise motherfucking old man. They're like, how do you do it? He just thought differently, and it was told to shift his thoughts, and bam. So I said, if I go back into the Matrix, I gave it some thought, and I said, instead of 78 countries now I've visited, my goal is to hit 100 in 4 years. So if I did a 4-year contract or something, I could have just went out there and I don't know. So I had the opportunity, but I closed it down, and then COVID hit, or COVID was going on, and I'm like, Because then I would have to wait like a year. They said, well, due to COVID reasons, and I said I ain't get involved in COVID. Because then there was all that nonsense. You know what? I didn't want to be bared down. So I looked at it from an angle. I said, do I try to integrate back into this society and just be like, hey, normal, I got to be an undercover fucking outfit maybe. I'm just going to have to just be like, try to act what normal even is. I don't even know.
Society doesn't seem to fucking know either, because anytime you try to settle into it where they're like, okay, yeah, no, I fucking...
So, but then I said, okay, what if I just do this for 4 years and make X amount of money? I ain't spending nothing anyways. Plus, I'll probably rekindle some old relationships that I hadn't seen and I still haven't been able to have contact with until, 10 years later, I get a message from somebody and they're like, hey, I'm out and I'm terrified. And I'm like, man, I did it. I don't know. I didn't do it. I said, I got out and I fucking felt like getting out of prison. You got institutionalized into an environment that makes sense to you, just like prisoners. They go in people go into prison system, that system that's trained like criminals, and they go in as innocent people and come out as criminals. Meaning but then they're like adapted into that.
Yep.
Now that's their matrix. That's their matrix. That's the way they were in it. That's just how it is. It's just the parallel. And so then I said, well, money, all that, if I'm going to just give up more time freedom for money, I mean, money doesn't make me happy. It just gives me an option to do things that, no stress anything. Now, most people have to wait until they're 65. So I said, if I get into this matrix again, I'm just going to be trapped. And then I'm going to be like, because the more I would go back into it after being here, there will be like times where I would have been like, holy shit, I need to go back home. I love America. Every time I stepped on my foot, and I said, thank God I'm back in America. Now, I didn't want to give up my time freedom, and I didn't want to give up the chance of something going down the wrong path due to unforeseen circumstance. I don't know. I didn't really put that on my radar, but I said that's my negativity because I had to come up with like my 3 negatives. What's my 3 worst things? Time freedom to give up, risk, and whatever the third one was. And then I said, then what am I going to be, 65 and then retire and come back and be old and like trying to now 30 fucking years in the matrix, and now I got to like retire like everybody else? Oh, everybody else is now going overseas at 65? You're full of shit. Not a fucking chance. That's why I said I already did 76 countries, lived on 6 continents, XYZ, no languages, and just travel the world. And I'm here, and you're here, and that's where I have to backtrack. Everything comes in the 5 years. Everything in the 5 year is a pattern thing. So I said, nope, I'm not going to do it. And thank you for your offer. And I declined, and they said, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Call us if you need us. Bam. That was it. And I said, well, at least I got the insurance. If something drastic, I might have to go do something.
Right.
But I'm not like on paper to be like, hey, I'm going to commit to X amount of years to like get. Right. And you know what? The whole thing could have changed, and then it could be a complete mess. And I'm like, fuck this. I can't, I'm X amount of out of that time where now I have to decompartmentalize certain things without.
No, dude, they're probably going to call us up one day and be like, Kev, we need you to come back. We need you to bring Brandon with you. We got a project for you to work on.
Yeah, we need you guys to get to work. And
let's fucking go.
Why not? We'll see what happens.
So that's my take on pretty much all that, because it's very important, very, very important to take a second to just like figure out what the fuck. And I used to start out with, where do you want to be in 40 years? Motherfucking, I need to know where I'm going to be in 4 minutes. And when I went to my first major interview, I was like terrified, bro. I'm like, this is a scam. I'm going to get kidnapped and they're going to fucking like dissect me and like take my brain. And I was terrified. So when I got through the terrified realization, then it came to fruition. It said, holy shit, I'm going to be fucking somewhere. and I don't know where, and I'm excited, and that's when I said, fucking ready to roll. And still to this day, I'm fucking excited about, but there's things that we don't see over in parts of the world. But if you look at it from a broader spectrum, you can break it down and come up with a 10% idea of like, what the fuck are they doing? I would have it from a 45% because I'd be like, I kind of have an idea what the next ploy is, but depends on if Trump comes back, or are we gonna let the immigrations come in and tear? Like, is it gonna be a shit show chaos? I don't know, but I'm very grateful to live in this country, and I'm grateful for the sacrifices that those are doing, even though they get whatever the negativity. But damn, it's a lot of fucking work, and I kind of sit back and have to like realize, holy shit, it's pretty elaborate. So
yeah. With that horn, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. One phrase I like to laugh about is time. The only time I'm concerned with is having a good one.
Yeah. And you know what? No plans are good plans unless it's your own plans. And that's the other thing. If I want to go back to the Matrix, my fucking plans, bro. I'm on lockdown for 4 fucking years. Do you know what lockdown means? It's like, bye-bye, everybody. And that's the one thing they asked me. I was like 20x years old. And they asked, this is one of the last questions, they said, do you have a problem with no contact with your friends and family? If like you can contact them at certain times, but if like 4 months go by and they don't hear from you, are they going to be like,
yeah.
Like if
right.
you don't have I would tell people I'm going on, but now it's different. But back then, and he goes, are you okay with do you have a girlfriend? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can you just dump her tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, she's kind of a bitch anyways. And he's like, yeah, we get that all the time. This is he goes, this is the get out of a relationship card for y'all. And he goes, we usually don't take married people into the married people into some of these realms, but we work with what they would say tandem people, where you have 2 relationships, but they're doing pretty elaborate things. And that's what they like, because if one disappears for a year, they know that they're not off fucking doing whatever, they're working, and the other one's doing their work, so it works in hand. But if you bring one that's not, now it's like, holy shit, you should never know what you're doing. But I said, when they asked me that question, because if you have any, because you'll be stressed if you leave and you're like, man, I miss her. And you can't contact
Your
nothing.
will be
and I said, absolutely. I've been trying to get away from motherfuckers forever. Right. I've been for since right after 9/11. I said I was fucking. I wanted to get out and do something else besides the military, but I said I just got intercepted on all that. But that was my call. So I said, yeah. And they said, I said, absolutely. He's like, all right. He's like, a lot of people can't. And I said, well, fuck it. I'm not a lot of people. And then that was that. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like just to up and leave. And then
that's right.
It's a versus somebody else that just ups and leaves. Their wife think they ran off with another woman. And now she's sending out an investigation team and she actually murdered the guy. And it's like, fuck, what the fuck's going on in this culture? So
to translate that into risk assessment for everybody, if you assess the risks around you and your relationships are part of those risks, mitigate them and just get on with it. So the universe will open up a path for you if you're trying to seek, goodness and purity and leveraging your time to better society. Mm-hmm. The universe will open it up. It'll make some things happen, and it'll seem like a little bit of a magical journey for you. Just sit tight. Hold on, everybody. Hang in there.
Hold on. Just have patience and understand it's an election year. Yeah. We're all still fucking here. We are all still here living our own matrix. You just got to figure it out. I don't have the easy answers to get out of the barnyard or the stable. I'm going to come up with some other terms. I'm going to base it off a farm, because a farm is everywhere that I learned. I learned everything.
We just need to convert the barnyard.
Yeah,
it's really all that needs to be done. Just
we'll turn it into a horse race track on the back,
bit.
And
we can do some great things.
We'll call horse name Brain Big, Brain Big U. Or big brain you. How's that? What does big brain you, motherfuckers? Let's go.
We should make the U a horseshoe.
Yeah, like a horseshoe. Colts, let's go NFL. I'm excited. I'm absolutely not. I'm fucking terrified.
Is that a prediction that the Colts are...
Ooh, something hit. I'm thinking about a horseshoe.
Is that just...
Horseshoe up somebody's ass at the casinos. Oh, man. It's been a pleasure, though. I'm really... I'm telling you, there's other people out there that have either can understand what is going on here. You might not get all of it, but if you're one that gets half of it, you got something out of it that you will never learn, because who are you going to find? There's other people that have. They're doing casts. They're doing absolutely amazing work. And I'm telling you, in the next year or so, there's going to be some sort of like migration of people that finally are like here. And the young tech, just the generation. And it's, and a lot of people, you know, 76 countries and all that stuff. Yeah, but it's still pretty fucking elaborate. And that's where we're at.
Yep, let's go.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Do itashimashite.
Right, we'll see you next time, y'all.
Right.